haunted castles, and even islands, we count down the 20 most creepiest places in the world. Number 20. The Island of Dolls, Mexico. In a district of Mexico City that contains an extensive system of canals and artificial islands, the most famous of which belonged to a man named Julian Santana, who discovered a dead body in a nearby canal. He began collecting and discarding dolls and doll parts, which he would hang from trees on an island in an attempt to ward off the evil spirits. Julian Santana died in 2001, but the dolls remain, and the creepy island can be visited by boat. Number 19. Hashima Island, Japan. Hashima was used as a coal mining facility between 1887 and 1974. With its population reaching a peak of 5,000 people in 1959, and after petroleum replaced coal throughout Japan in the 1960s, Hashima was abandoned and now is known as Ghost Island. A small portion of the island was reopened to tourists in 2009, but scary shit happened and no one's ever been back. Number 18. The Hill of Crosses, Lithuania. The Hill of Crosses is a Catholic pilgrimage site that was established in the 1830s. It was thought to contain at least 100,000 crosses and giant crucifix, and has been described by Pope John Paul II as a place of hope, peace, and love. But you wouldn't want to spend the night here. I mean, would you? Number 17. Aokigahara Forest, Japan. This forest is at the base of Mount Fuji and is like something out of the Blair Witch Project. It has an historic association with demons in Japanese mythology and is the second most popular place in the world for suicides after San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. More than 50 people took their own lives here in 2010 alone, and the annual body hunt is undertaken by volunteers, and that this forest is noted for its quietness, thanks to the wind-blocking density of the trees. So hikers are advised to use plastic tape to mark their route and avoid getting lost. Number 16. The Paris Catacombs. This underground tunneling system contains the remains of over 6 million people. Its countless caverns and tunnels extend for 280 kilometers beneath the city and were used by the French resistance during the Second World War and is often open to the public, and that similar catacombs can be found in Rome. Number 15. Pripyat, Ukraine. There is something undeniably concerning about a ghost town, and it's not just the name. Pripyat, within the Chernobyl exclusion zone, was founded in 1970 to house workers at the doomed power plant, and was subsequently abandoned in 1986 after the disaster, although tourists can now visit, if they dare. Number 14. Beaulieu Rectory, Essex. Described as the most haunted house in Britain, Beaulieu Rectory was built in 1863 on the site of a 12th century church and monastery. A popular legend claims that a monk from Beaulieu fell in love with a nun from a nearby convent, and that they planned to elope, but the monastery's elders discovered their plans, and he was hanged, while she was buried alive in the vaults beneath the rectory, and their ghosts haunted the site ever since. Number 13. Sedlec Ossuary. This small chapel near Katnahora contains the remains of up to 70,000 people and attracts around 200,000 tourists each year, and that is largely down to the fact that the bones of those people have been arranged in a bizarrely artistic fashion. The interior contains such delights as a bone chandelier and a park bench made out of femur bones. Number 12. Tal Slang Museum, Cambodia. The Tal Slang Genocide Museum occupies the site of a former high school, which was converted. Up to 20,000 people were imprisoned, tortured, and murdered here between 1975 and 1979. The grim museum attracts hundreds of tourists each and every day, and contains photographs of inmates, skulls, and instruments used for torture. Number 11. Culloden Moor, Scotland. The scene of the last battle fought on British soil, a tussle between the government forces and the Jacobites loyal to Bonnie Prince Charlie. Culloden Moor is reportedly haunted by those who died during the bloody slaughter. Ghostly soldiers are said to appear on the 16th of April, the anniversary of the battle, and cries of anguish and the sound of clashing swords have also been reported. Number 10. Poveglia Island, Italy. This island, close to Venice, was used as a plague pit during the height of the Black Death, where tens of thousands of people are thought to have died here. A building was constructed on the island in 1922, which, according to the local legend, was used as a mental hospital. The doctor who ran the facility reputedly butchered and tortured many of his patients before going mad himself and committing suicide. The ruins of the building remain, but the island is still closed to visitors. Number 9. Edinburgh Castle. One of Scotland's most haunted sites, Edinburgh Castle is said to be home of a phantom piper, a headless drummer, and a spectral dog. In 2001, the castle vaults and chambers were subjected to a rigorous 10-day scientific survey, using night vision equipment, digital cameras, thermal imaging, and 240 carefully screened volunteers, which nearly half of reported ghost sightings and spooky phenomena, including sudden drops in temperature and the sensation of unseen presences tugging at their clothes. What the fuck? Number 8. The Stanley Hotel, Colorado. Situated high in the Colorado Rockies, this reportedly haunted hotel was the inspiration for Stephen King's spine-chilling novel, The Shining. The idea came to King during a stay in room 217, but it's room 418 believed to be visited by the ghost of Lord Dunraven that is considered to be the hotel's most haunted. Both guests and staff have reported hearing children playing in the corridors late at night, and piano music coming from the empty ballroom. Number 7. Pendle Hill, Lancashire. In the year 1612, a dozen residents from the area surrounding Pendle Hill were accused of witchcraft after a series of mysterious deaths. All but one was found guilty and hanged. Today, the summit of Pendle Hill in Lancashire is a popular pilgrimage for ghost hunters and is frequently visited on Halloween. Number 6. Bran Castle, Romania. Bran Castle is known for its connections with Vlad the Impaler, better known as Count Dracula. Vlad was, even by the standards of the 15th century, an exceptionally cruel ruler, known to impale his enemies rather than behead him, though not like Dracula resort to drinking their blood. Vampire masks, blood red wine, and wooden daggers jostle for prominence in the market below the castle. Number 5. Howtown, Ohio. Formerly known as Boston, this village was largely abandoned after a number of houses were purchased by the U.S. National Park Service. Locals theorized authorities were attempting to conceal a chemical spill, and with some even claiming that some kind of mutant monster had been created. Other legends suggest that Satanists carry out rituals in the village, and that an escaped mental patient roams the woods at night. The cemetery is also supposedly haunted. Number 4. Eyam, Derbyshire. Eyam became famous during the plague of the 16th century. When an epidemic arrived in the village, residents chose to isolate themselves, rather than allow infection to spread to neighbouring communities. The villages of haunting locations include the Miners' Arms Pub, where unexplained footsteps are sometimes heard, and Eyam Hall, where Sarah Mills, a young servant girl who drowned in the village, can be sighted as well. Number 3. The Ridges. Originally known as Athens Lunatic Asylum, the Ridges was renamed after the state of Ohio acquired the property. The hospital saw hundreds of lobotomies and often declared masturbation and epilepsy to be the causes of insanity in patients. The Ridges is said to be heavily haunted by a notorious raper, Billy Milligan, that was housed at the facility for years. Number 2. The Killing Fields, Cambodia. The Killing Fields in Cambodia were a number of sites where 1 million people were killed at the end of the Cambodian Civil War between 1975 and 1979. Human bones can still be seen sticking out of the dirt paths, and that there are huge containers filled with human skulls with holes in them from where they were bludgeoned to death. Number 1. Gas chambers, Auschwitz, Germany. Auschwitz, known as the death camp, was an extermination center created by Nazis to eliminate Jews. It was estimated that 2.1 to 2.5 million Jews, Soviet soldiers and gypsies were gassed to death in this place, and that their bodies were burnt in piles nearby. Tourists that visit Auschwitz are gripped with a sense of despair, and some even break down in tears. There are accounts of people feeling spooked at this place, and the picture above is of the inner wall of the gas chambers, and those white lines are actually nail marks from the people that got gassed, who were desperately trying to escape.